What's going on, everybody? Benjamin Bakchoi here with an F122 video. Today we're going to be looking at the current F1 Esports Qualifying Event. Now, this is a difficult one. I've watched a few esports guys, mainly Thomas Ronhar and Jake Benham, run this Esports Qualifying Event, and even they stated that this was a difficult one. I'm not sure what Jake Benham beat it at. Thomas Ronhar managed to beat it at 110 AI difficulty, and at this moment, 5 days before the event expires, he is the only driver on PC that has beaten this at 110. Most of the other esports guys are between like 107 and 109. So this is a really difficult one, so don't feel bad if you are having trouble with this and having to put this down a couple of difficulty points to accomplish it. Now, at the time that I was running this, I thought that I was actually running it at 98 AI difficulty, but to my surprise, when we finished it, I ended up realizing that we were racing at 100 the whole time. So not like a huge difference, but I'm still proud of having beaten it at 100 as opposed to 98. So tried a few different kinds of setups. Normally I would run Silverstone with realistic car performance with a 1412 wing setup, but for some reason just could not control the car. So obviously the McLaren is not as good as the Red Bull or Mercedes when you set it to realistic settings, which the esports qualifying events and weekly events are mostly set to realistic performance. So if you want more speed, you're going to have to lower the wings, obviously. But for this esports qualifying event, I decided to actually up the wings. So current time trial record setup is 1810, but felt like 1810 just did not give me enough back and kept losing the car through some of the slower corners. So decided to go with 1812, and it felt a little bit better for me. Obviously, you're not going to be going quite as fast, straight line speed, but it's only Alonso and Hamilton in front of you. It's not like it's the Red Bull. Verstappen is behind you, but for some reason he never caught up to us, or maybe if he did, I never noticed it. But the few times that I did run this, just mainly focusing on Alonso, managing to get into his ERS by lap 48 here. And yeah, it was just really difficult for me. Had to run this quite a few times, more times than I cared to admit about doing an esports qualifying event. I think if I sweated this out, I probably could beat it at like maybe 102 or 103. But not having played this game regularly for quite a while, I know I do pop on here every once in a while to do some master rank races or ranked online races, but for the most part I don't really, if I'm not doing like ranked races and making a video on it, I'm not really playing this game. So yeah, it was a bit of a shocker coming back into this game and thinking that 100 difficulty was going to be doable for me, and then having to spend like 2 or 3 hours just to be able to beat it at 100. But like I said, even the esports guys said that this is difficult. This was a difficult one. I think Jake Benham had some trouble beating it at 110. I'm not quite sure if he actually beat it at the end of his video. I watched it a couple days ago. But yeah, if you go onto the leaderboards and you see there's less than 3,000 people have tried this so far. I'm not quite sure if that's just because the esports qualifying events are coming out much later than they generally do. I think in the last few years they've come out in like October and November, and they were like month-long events for every race. But this time around this year, they're coming out in February, middle of February, early February. And the esports events are only lasting about 2 weeks, so you're probably not getting quite as many people sweating these events out. And I think just because this game, F122, not exactly the best game in the world, a lot of people have kind of ditched F122 early on in its life cycle. I think that might explain why you don't get too many, you're not getting too many people trying it out this year. But yeah, a lot of the RNG in this esports qualifying event was really a pain in the ass, because sometimes you would be able to catch up to Alonso and get by him by about lap 49 or lap 50, and then the rest of the guys, Hamilton and I'm not sure who else is up there, there's a Ferrari, Hamilton, Leclerc, would be like 2 or 3 seconds ahead. And then other times you'd run into something like this where I haven't even passed Alonso yet at lap 49, and you have Hamilton, Leclerc and Perez literally just a second out in front of us. So If you're having difficulty catching up to those last few guys at the end of the race, just start it over, and hopefully you get some good RNG. This time we managed to pass Leclerc first of all the cars as Alonso gets by the Ferrari. We managed to dive it into, what is that, like turn 3 or turn 4, and we managed to get out in front of Leclerc as well. And then now we are still within DRS of Alonso and Hamilton up in front of us, with Perez kind of driving off in the distance. But if you get to this point, just try to stay as close as possible. You probably won't have much ERS left, as you need to use a lot of the ERS to catch up to Alonso and then set a good fastest lap time as well. I don't know how the hell we did it, but we managed to set the fastest lap at some point before lap 49, and it managed to stay on as the fastest lap for the entirety of the race. But yeah, I don't really know if I like the new RNG system, especially for something like Esports Qualifying Events, where a lot of people will be sweating it to try and get the highest score possible. I don't like the idea of your score just being calculated by random events that happen in a race. I think I prefer the old style version of where you know you're going to be running the same exact race every time you come into a weekly event or an esports qualifying event, or like a featured event or something like that. The way that they have it now, so there's a lot of luck that factors into it. So you could be having the best race of your life, and then or the worst race of your life, and then the AI start battling, and all of a sudden you're able to overtake like 2 or 3 cars at the same time. Whereas somebody could be having the best race of their life, and because they got bad RNG, they have the AI that's like 3 seconds out ahead, as opposed to 1 second out ahead, as I have seemed to have run into in my race. So yeah, not really sure I'm a big fan of that, at least with these big events here that you know that everybody's going to be sweating out. But we managed to somehow stay behind Alonso. We got really good luck this time, as you can see, or did see earlier on screen. By the time we caught up to Alonso, everybody else was fighting so damn hard that they ended up slowing themselves down and pushing their cars back into my car, which made it a little bit easier. Most of the time running this, once I got out in front of Alonso, the other AI cars were like 2 seconds ahead. So as you can see there, I managed to just dive bomb Alonso into Stowe, and we managed to take that position from him. I think that's Stowe, right? I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the actual names of some of the lesser corners at Silverstone, but I think that was Stowe. So now on to the final lap here. We're already made P4, which is your goal for this race. And then you'll see in a little bit that some more RNG even helps us out a little bit more once we get towards the end of the race. So here, I probably, if I was good enough, I probably would have been able to pass Hamilton and Perez. The rest of you guys probably would have been able to pass Hamilton and Perez here. So yeah, like I said, not a big fan of the new RNG system that they're using for these esports events. I suppose it helps out somebody like me who's not quite as good. When I do get some good luck, it makes me look better than I actually am. Helps my score be a little bit higher, but I think if we're talking about the guys that are taking esports seriously and wanting to qualify, not quite so fair at higher difficulties, where catching up to the AI is going to be a little bit difficult. But I mean, if they're quick enough anyway, they'll probably find themselves on an esports team as a reserve or something like that, or a academy driver anyway. But I think just for the rest of us that are looking to try and get the best score, I think for these big events, I wish they went back to the set race systems, where you're running the entire race no matter how many times you run it. There's no RNG and stuff like that. And once again, we actually luck out here as Hamilton and Perez decide to go wheel to wheel into the final few corners, and we managed to pick up one more position, so it helped us with our scoring a little bit more. Any more positions that you managed to gain above what the event expects you to get, I think it helps you earn more points. So even though we weren't driving all that great, and I don't consider myself a great driver, because of some good RNG there, we managed to not only achieve P4 but then achieve P3 as well, which gave us a little bit of our boost. So yeah, here you go, guys. I know there's only a few days left, so there's really not much time left to complete this event, but hopefully you pick up one or two things from my driving that can help you out. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comment section. And if you think I've earned it, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Remember to eat your bok choy, and I will see you guys in the next one. I'm just going to hang around here for 1 second just to see where we end up ranking. It wasn't all that great, so I think it was like 200 something, 230 out of about 2,900 people. So yeah, that was pretty fun. I think I might try it a few more times before the event's over, but I don't think I'll be sweating it. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.